English translation 89th contact Friday, 28th October 1977, 1414 HRs.
You are in no wise surprised to see me here, dear friend.
How could I be? Because that is what I expected when you ordered me here.
Sure, I should have thought of that. You have furnished everything here very nicely. I like it very much. It is really very pretty.
I'm happy about that, but we like it too.
I will visit you here often in the future because it is easier and safer than our previous method. So you can also write down our conversations.
Unfortunately, that is not possible, because I cannot write so fast with the machine. It is probably better to keep everything as it is, because I can write incredibly fast in this manner. What is the reason for this?
During the transmissions and their writing down, you work in very large parts through your subconscious, which reacts much faster than the consciousness. Through your subconscious, you control the movements of your hand, which is why it can work so fast, much faster than if you first had to confer the necessary commands to your subconscious through your consciousness, which would then give the command functions.
This is explained clearly, and it is not difficult to understand. Well, did you follow things last Tuesday?
Sure, Adolf's departure was very unfortunate, but it was predictable. Some of you should not take that so tragically and accept it. This will also be good for the future, because again and again people will find each other and smuggle themselves into your group, whose inclination does not strive in honest form for the evolution of the spirit, but is oriented in thinking for power and material advantages, as unfortunately also applies to all other failures, which will still settle in the course of the time. You must be very careful in this regard, for these very elements can do you a great deal of damage both within the group itself and outside. On the one hand, they turn to those who are thereby able to cast a spell over them and awaken false impressions in them in what seem to be very reasonable forms of speech and assistance. But on the other hand, they encounter exactly the opposite speeches in others, where they are of the opinion that they could influence them with their purposeful slander and denial tactics, and would bring them to their side. If, however, their malicious actions are suddenly uncovered by us or your side, they usually react very badly and slanderously. This, on the one hand, because they do not have enough honesty or courage to admit to themselves and to all others their committed error and to change everything for the better, and on the other hand because they know they have caught themselves in their malicious, negative and power-seeking action, and nevertheless want to conceal it through aggression, because they are of the erroneous thought that the others thereby believe them, because they are supposed to overlook the truth. But if none of their primitive methods then bring them benefit, then they fall into malicious anger and spin just as malicious webs of lies to humiliate our cause and ourselves in the form that they falsely claim that all of our cause is a negative one, which we must beware of. In Adolf, too, this latest and probably most vile form of slander appeared, which he uttered against his better judgment, as is the case with other fallible ones, although you always patiently give them new chances in a good-natured wise. But in any case, the form of their previous actions was wicked, as you yourself know very well. And even though you have not reproached them for this, and have for months given them the best possibilities and opportunities for improvement, change and error recognition and their acknowledgement, and continue to do so, they have not used these possibilities to this day and have behaved even more in the form of the striving for power and the baseness. Neither you nor we could do more for them, for they deliberately and shamefully ignored and trampled all help.
It sounds very hard what you explain, but unfortunately I know damn well that you hit the nail on the head with it.
I am also very sorry, but we have to accept the individual decisions of any life forms as such, and must not coercively change them.
I know, but let us leave the tiresome topic now, because more talking about it does not make sense after all.
Sure. But nevertheless, I would like to make it clear again for all group members that such cases will appear again and again, and that no wrong decisions, especially not emotional ones, should be made from out of them, neither in the one nor in the other form. Unfortunately, treachery is often very pronounced among Earth humans and power seekers. And if, unfortunately, such elements still exist in the group at present and want to appear even later and establish themselves, then they must be separated with all determination, even if it very often seems to be hard. But only by this determination in such a procedure is it guaranteed that the group remains, constantly expands, and reaches the goal through its completion of tasks. However, if no attention were paid to this, then everything would disintegrate in a short time and the core would be shattered. Too many forces around the world are working against you and us to be able to afford even the slightest defeat through emotional misconduct, because too much depends on all of us truly fulfilling our task. And let it be explained again here for those who doubt and for those who fail. Our cause is good and has no iota of anything negative in it. We all work only in the knowledge of what is truly good, because in loyalty to the laws and recommendations of the creation, we cannot do anything else. And let it be said another time that there is only one teaching which is of the value, of the truth and of the truthfulness, namely that which you have learned and spread as the proclaimer of the new times. It alone is the teaching of the truth, and it alone leads to the goal of the relative absolute perfection and absoluteness. This one teaching, of equal value throughout all great time, is truth, imperishable and unchangeable, and it alone is the law and recommendation, namely the law and recommendation in the creational, whole universal sense. Thus it reveals universal consciousness.
You said that wonderfully, dear girl, and I assume that everyone knows about the core group, because otherwise they would not be with us, and would not have tried so hard for everything in every possible relationship, other than the fallible ones, the traitors.
Sure, that is a statement of correctness. Remember, however, that even more people will join you, and that even among them, as well as among you, there are still those who doubt and also will in the future.
I understand.
Sure you understand, but now explain to me the things about your promised lectures in Cloten. Have you found a substitute for yourself?
Unfortunately, no, because Hans cannot take over this task. His work does not allow him to do that. At least that is what he says.
That is not a message to reassure me. If you do not find a replacement, then you should cancel these lectures. This is not only my opinion, but Ketzel's too. He especially urged me to keep you from this undertaking. Also, you should not promise such lectures in the future if you must give them yourself. Incidentally, I have already explained to you at a time not very far away that in future you should only give lectures that deal with the teaching and its areas. In the group already, enough powers have become so knowledgeable that they can make an effort to give lectures about our existence and our flying devices. This task cannot and must no longer weigh on you in the future, because firstly, it is not of great importance, and secondly, it robs you of too much of the time you have to spend on your real task. Apart from Hans, Herbert would also be very suitable and knowledgeable to give such lectures if they were more concerned with them than with doubts. Ask them, therefore, whether they are willing to assume this task for the 3 commitments. For my part, I address my request to both of them and hope that it will not be denied. My dearest thanks I assure them already now.
I will ask them about it.
Then I am reassured for the time being, because it really worries me very deeply that you would have to give these lectures yourself.
Please do not worry about it any more for now. Now, Would you rather tell me when I can get the necessary data for all group members?
The evaluation has already started and is progressing faster than expected. I will be able to send you the first data at the beginning of December. I will also reply shortly to the letters addressed to me, which I have photographed for myself and whose originals I want you to archive. As before, I will send you my answers, which you can then write directly on the papers on which I put my name. However, always make a copy of these transmissions and archive it with the original letter to me. The messages transmitted by me in this form and marked with my name shall be considered personal by me. Because I cannot easily figure out your mechanical writing instruments and also the handwriting according to your system, I would like to accept this solution.
I am sure everyone will agree, and they will also be very happy about your messages.
Sure, but do not expect too much from me because I have a lot of other work to do, but so do you.
Of course, everyone will understand that. Here I have something from Elsie, if you do not mind.
Sure, but I am not opening it now. I am taking it with me. Later, I will give you an answer for my dear friend.
There is a book in it if I remember Elsie's explanation correctly.
According to the size it might be, so I will photograph it and then bring it back here in the next few hours. Here we have now a very good location for such a doing.
You are right, I also feel very comfortable.
The place is cleansed of all negative powers, and I also feel a stirring of being at home here.
You see, that is what happens to many of us. As soon as everything is ready, we are really at home. Nothing evil and negative is here, but only quiet, peace, and love.
Sure, but that is how it must be. In the meantime, Akobus has also grasped and understood this intellectually, as the first of all.
You watched everything here last night?
Sure, because a certain monitoring here is incumbent on us for a certain time as a self-chosen duty. And what I still have to explain about this topic is this. It will come out that with some group members, the final time will crystallize out only after the first or second run, after which the time can be shortened with some, but must be extended with others. The calculations given to you in this regard are probably correct and individually calculated, but the factors of will could not be taken into account because we are only able to explore them when the individual persons make an effort with the teaching course.
And what will this time look like? I mean, by how much more or less?
According to our calculations and experiences, up to 80 minutes can appear more or less, which in your group will only be in those individual cases where certain concerns of their doubts require it. The rule will be only a few minutes, with an average of 11 minutes for an extra time and 17 minutes for a lesser time.
Then that does not carry much weight. But can you explain to me which factors play a role in the 1 or 2 people who will need up to 80 minutes more time?
The reason lies in their ability to give off fluidal powers, which decreases automatically if, due to doubts, problems and worries, etc., the concentration is not reached to the extent necessary to achieve it. But it is important that a certain amount or mass of fluidal power, is released, because a certain quantity has to be stored in a certain time.
Then one could simply make an increased division.
That is unfortunately not possible because the times already mentioned to you correspond to those, since the highest possible performance is given. If we were to use other times for this or longer times, the total time would increase to such an extent that around 12 days per month would be too little to reach the required level.
Good grief. That is the reason why care should be taken that not any absence occurs.
Sure, because the lost time doubles at least for each individual, or it is even possible that it quintuples, depending on which unfavorable times are available for catching up the missed.
It is all right, I know that. Then another question. Can you tell me how old our current universe is?
Sure, I can answer that question for you. The present universe exists in its 46th trillion 46,000,000,000,000 year.
You are complicated. You think our present universe is about 46,046,000,000 years old if we calculate it from the last slumber, right?
Sure, that is what I said.
Sure. See, now I am starting it again. But you just said it so that not everyone understands it immediately. But now the second question. How often was our universe already material?
I do not understand your question.
I asked it exactly as Guido wrote it down, but I can put it to you purely logically. How often was our universe already present in the same material form as it is this time?
Our universe is still a very young one, and since the beginning of this universal creation and since its self-creation, this universe is the first of this present material form. Prior to the creation of this universe, the creation of this universe slumbered in the seven-all great time slumber into which it had spiraled after the emergence and passing away of the first universe from its own ideation, which was only a realm with boundaries without solid material bodies, as is the case in the present material belt of the universe. These facts, however, are known to you by the teaching of Genesis as it is given to you by Patach Li.
Good, I know. Then again about the age of our present universe. It is 46,046,000,000 years old and expanding. This number of years corresponds to about 1/6 of a great age, somewhat inaccurately. But it is a rough estimate, because a great age comprises 311,040,000 years. This means, then, that we are in the second act of creation in our universe, and have only completed 46,046,000 years of this second act of creation, or have completed the universe, and have 265,040,000 years left to exist before the completion of the act, with the contraction or backslide beginning after 155.502 trillion 155,502,000 years.
Sure, this is calculated very precisely.
Well, then we can calculate how old our creation is in general, since it's self-creation by the creations idea, whereby I mean the whole universe, and not simply the material part of the universe, the belt of matter, which we here on Earth simply erroneously call universe, and mean that this is the whole universe. So that is 46,046,000 years to the present time. Then we have the slumber period of 311,040,000 years, just as long of a wake period before, and then again a slumber time, so the creation time, right? So there are 3 times 311 40,000 years.
No, you are mistaken.
How? Wait. Oh, so yes, that is how it is. 3x 311 40,000 years, plus 46,046,000 years. Then wait a minute. Yes, that makes... Wait, yes, it should be true. 979,20,000 years. Is it so?
Sure, I could not calculate that as fast as you could.
I'm a loser in arithmetic, but it is just enough for that.
You have already presented me with larger computations that already had denominators of 1040.
Oh, I calculated that on paper and often spent hours on it.
But it is and remains an extremely remarkable achievement, and so fast at that.
Poppycock. Tell me rather, this is also a question from Guido, where the first humans in the universe originated.
That is unfortunately unknown to us.
Then the question is already answered. Another question. Is it true that the famous science fiction writer Perry Rhodan was inspired by extraterrestrial intelligences?
This question is very illogical.
Guido wrote it down for me like this.
But it is not correct. This series is well known to me, but the name of the author is not Perry Rhodan, but the main character of these writings is occupied with this name. To my knowledge, a certain Herr Scher or Scheer and another, whose name is unknown to me, writes this series of writings, which actually has extraterrestrial inspirative origin and corresponds to an already largely existing technology and other development on many world bodies, as they are received and written down by the authors inspiratively, impulsively. But now please no more questions.
But I still have these here, if you want to read them quickly.
Please, you have already asked me this question, no. 4 in the past, and I could not answer it. I had to ask and receive the data, but I cannot name it, so I did not come back to this question. I am also not allowed to answer this question 5, because I would have to tell the truth when answering it, and I am not allowed to do that.
And the last question?
Our beamships and spaceships are mostly controlled by female life forms, which is the truth. This is because female persons are very well suited for these positions, because they do not require very large physical forces, but on the other hand, they are much more sensitive and thus more sociable in the communicative field than male life forms. These are the main reasons why, as a rule, more female persons fill these positions, but this is not the case with all space races, because there are also human races in the wide space, which, in their delusion, as with terrestrial humans, grant only the male life forms the right or all rights, while the female life forms are pushed aside. The extent to which the culture and overall development of a human race is shaped can therefore be seen very clearly from the manual activities that a female life form carries out. Physically, a female life form is less suitable for rigorous manual activity, but is extremely suitable for lighter manual activity, such as the piloting of a flying machine, etc. They are also more sensitive in this respect, which is why it is incomprehensible to me that on Earth your primitive flying machines are not piloted by female persons.
That is quite a hot potato, my child, because the human being of this world still understands these concerns quite damn badly.
I know that, but now we should end our official conversation, because I have some other matters to discuss with you. Please wish all my deep greetings of solidarity. Pay my dear thanks to all of them, also to those who are wrong and unteachable, and the assurance that I am extraordinarily happy about their efforts in all positive areas. Also from my father, from Playa, and from Quetzal I shall order the same, but also from Manara and Elena and all others. On this occasion we will all once again fly past, as Manara and I did last Saturday at 21:45 HRs.
Thanks a lot from everyone who was there, dear girl. Everyone was very happy about it. Only Olgi was missing, as well as Marcel, Guido, and Herbert. It was really great how you turned over the hills 8 times. Everybody was really happy about it.
I am also very pleased about this, and I will also convey your thanks to Manara. But now to our other concerns, which I must discuss with you.
Good, because